final.
Come, championship bound, baby! Woo! Big club, baby! Woo! To hear, man. It got a little crazy out there, but we made it through.
We're gonna keep stacking the day, so see you in the championship.
Bow! Let's go!
Something snapped inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse that night. An entire league felt it. The Indiana Fever didn't just win a basketball game. They settled a score that had been festering since the bruises and torn ankles of late May. What unfolded on June 17th turned routine hardwood into a stage for raw revenge, loyalty, and a single moment that crowned Sophie Cunningham the unexpected enforcer of this relentless squad. It began with one reckless player, one poked eye, and ended with a roaring crowd chanting for blood. Anyone still doubting this team's backbone learned fast what happens when a sisterhood gets pushed too far. Fever fans stood on their feet, not just for a victory, but for justice long overdue. For every true fan who believes real teammates stand tall no matter the cost, drop CC and Spicy Sophie below, slam that subscribe button, and buckle in. This is the story of the night Indiana reminded the WNBA how grudges get paid back in full.
It was chippy the last time these two teams faced off too. Sophie Cunningham suffered her ankle injury in that game, but in addition to that, she actually had part of her front tooth knocked out. She made contact with JC Sheldon as Clark knocks down the triple.
But what people don't talk about enough is how hard you have to work to be able to be that good. All the hours that she's spent perfecting her craft.
Retreating, firing, and hitting.
So she can do that.
On Indiana arguing the call.
I mean, step back, you're late. She almost looks you in the eye.
Long before the chants and flagrant fouls, May 30th planted the seeds of revenge deep in Indiana's locker room. That night, the Connecticut Sun stepped onto the court not just to compete but to bully, and the scoreboard barely captured the real damage done. JC Sheldon, wearing her aggression like a badge, crossed the line from hard-nosed defender to reckless bruiser. First, Sophie Cunningham went down, an ankle injury, a piece of her front tooth gone, all from a hit too forceful for honest basketball. Moments later, Sydney Colson twisted her leg horrifically when Sheldon dove for a loose ball and landed straight on top of her.
Can we talk about the physicality for a second? Two players on the Indiana Fever got injured last night by the same player on the Connecticut Sun, and that was JC Sheldon. And I tweeted about it. She was playing so reckless. I'm fine with players playing aggressive, but there is a thin line between playing aggressive and playing reckless. When you dive for a ball, you don't land on somebody's leg. She landed on top of Sydney Colson's leg, and her leg got stuck and literally twisted around. Both injuries, both Sydney Colson and Sophie Cunningham, were contact injuries.
The referees swallowed their whistles, dismissing both injuries as mere hustle plays. But for the Fever, it was an insult that cut deeper than the bruises. Two starters sidelined, a narrow defeat, and no consequences for the chaos. That May game guaranteed one thing: the Fever would never forget who turned their season into a blood sport.
They weren't non-contact. They weren't ACLs, they weren't Achilles, they were contact injuries caused by the same player. And this kind of physicality that the WNBA they brag about. They say it's always been a physical league. That's just the heart of the It's not good basketball. And we've seen so many injuries. Paige Becker's out with a concussion. Rakia Jackson was out with a concussion. All of these injuries are contact plays. We've seen Caitlin Clark last year get chucked to the ground. We saw Angel Reese get clothesline chucked to the ground. The players continue to do it because the refs are allowing them. Why wouldn't you keep doing it if you're a physical player?
Long before the WNBA lights, Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon had been circling each other like magnets with opposite poles. Their battles ignited in college gyms when Iowa clashed with Ohio State. Every matchup came with elbows, smirks, and whispered trash talk that carried far beyond the buzzer. Sheldon found her edge by shadowing Clark relentlessly, bumping her off screens, and turning simple possessions into exhausting battles of wills. This wasn't just competition. It simmered with personal grudges disguised as defensive hustle.
Her mortal enemy took out a player. JC Sheldon. Caitlin Clark's mortal enemy, JC Sheldon.
Each time they met, Sheldon's mission seemed clear: rattle Clark at any cost. That history meant the reckless hits on May 30th didn't feel like bad luck. They felt targeted, deliberate, the next chapter of a rivalry too bitter to die quietly. By the time June 17th approached, every Fever teammate knew Clark's old nemesis would try her tricks again.
This is a reckless play. This is reckless. It is dangerous. And this angle makes it look even worse. It is dangerous. Like, Sid Colson is between her and the ball. Sid Colson is, in fact, between JC Sheldon and the ball, and she dives through her knee. It wasn't even called as a foul. It wasn't even called as a foul.
This time, however, the team braced for the fight Sheldon had been asking for all along. June 17th wasn't marked on the calendar as just another Commissioner's Cup game. It was circled in red ink as the day old debts would be settled. After 3 grueling weeks recovering from a quad injury, Caitlin Clark stepped back onto the court, her eyes locked on the same Sun players who had injured her teammates and escaped unscathed. Just days earlier, Clark had torched the undefeated New York Liberty, showing flashes that the rookie jitters were gone, replaced by a cold resolve.
She just texts me. She never texts me during the game.
All right. Here is Clark splashing home a 3 from way downtown. Kelly escorting her back to the bench.
JC Sheldon is there with her hand in her face.
Every glance at JC Sheldon during warm-ups crackled with the electricity of unfinished business. The crowd could feel it too, a hush before the storm each time Clark dribbled past midcourt.
And Caitlin Clark are talking to the official. They're both going at it saying, hey, oh, there's a little extra right there. Uh-oh. Then Marina steps in to protect JC.
The rematch held none of the polite pacing from their first encounter. Clark's shot fell from distances that seemed cruel, but beneath each swish, the tension pulsed. Sheldon was still lurking, waiting for that one reckless moment. And everyone sensed Clark would not back down again. A single jab to the eye turned a tense grudge match into a boiling cauldron of fury. Third quarter ticking away, Clark pushing the ball up court with that familiar swagger, and there was Sheldon, closing the gap, reaching in for a steal that never looked clean. Instead, a finger drives straight into Clark's eye socket. Her head snaps back, pain flashing across her face before adrenaline takes over.
Third quarter we go. They're trailing by 10. Keep an eye on her and JC Sheldon. Clark trying to back her down.
Clark is okay.
Sheldon fouls Clark, hitting her in the face. Clark is upset about that. Then everybody's upset about that. Marina Mabrey comes in. She decks Clark, tempers flaring on both sides.
In a heartbeat, Clark shoved Sheldon off with raw instinct, the kind of shove that screams enough is enough. Gasps rip through the crowd. Replay boards light up with slow-motion proof of the eye gouge. But the referees, in a decision that made no sense to anyone in Gamebridge Fieldhouse, blow the whistle not for foul on Sheldon, but a technical on Clark, punishment for daring to react after being poked in the face.
Hey,
I mean, is that displacement? I think it is.
Oh, and Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected. If the officials saw that, Marina Mabrey is going to get ejected.
Well, they're going to go and look at it. Look at Mabrey. She's got a scar on one side, a scratch on one side of her face, a scratch on the other side. It's not from the game today. I asked her about it. She's always in the mix. There's a lot of contact here. There's a scrape across the face. That's what Clark didn't like.
Boos rain down. Clark stands squinting through tears, but beneath the sting, her mind races. Retaliation is coming, and this time, it won't wait for the refs. What happened seconds after the eye poke sent Gamebridge Fieldhouse into full riot mode. While Clark blinked through blurred vision, Marina Mabrey, who had been circling the tension like gasoline near a flame, decided to light the match.
Take another look as we try to figure out what exactly went down. So you see her get hit in the face. JC Sheldon doesn't like that, and everybody on the team doesn't like it. Marina, trying to have her teammates back, pushes her down. You see a little bit of drama all the way around. Tina, Charles, Clark, and Mabrey, they received technical fouls. Sheldon received a flagrant 1 foul.
Out of nowhere, Mabrey barreled into Clark with a body check better suited for a hockey rink than a basketball court. Clark crashed backwards, hitting the hardwood with a thud that silenced every fan for half a heartbeat before the boos and shouts surged louder than ever. Benches cleared in a blur. Fever players leapt up, screaming at referees frozen in confusion.
That's what Clark didn't like. And then Mabrey came in with a bump.
And Mabrey's day is almost assuredly going to be done. Thought both teams.
Video replays didn't lie. A cheap shot right after a blatant eye poke, right in front of 3 officials who still reached for the mildest penalty in the book. Mabrey walked away with a routine technical, the same punishment Clark got for pushing a finger out of her eyeball. If the referees wouldn't fix this, the Fever would, and the scoreboard wouldn't be enough this time.
And then Marina Mabrey comes out of nowhere and chucks her to the floor. Now let's watch this in slow motion. Here, JC Sheldon is guarding Caitlin, swipes her in the face. There's one. Going for the ball, swipes her in the eyeball. Caitlin's gonna have to start wearing goggles. And then Caitlin pushes her off of her, like, why are you still in my face? Marina Mabrey, bat out of hell, chucks Caitlin Clark to the ground.
On the sideline, Coach Stephanie White boiled over in real time, the calm strategist replaced by a leader unwilling to watch her players take more abuse. From the first quarter, White had pleaded with referees to tighten the whistles to stop Sheldon's reckless aggression before it escalated. Each time, the pleas fell on deaf ears.
Now after this, you guys, of course, the referees are going to review the play because that's a lot of contact going on right there. That's a lot of unnecessary contact. That's a lot of non-basketball contact happening during this play, right? So the three referees that I like to say, they got them straight out of Sephora because I don't think these referees have ever refereed a professional basketball game in their life. They took these referees, they were at the monitor, they looked at it for, I'm not even exaggerating, you guys, like 15 minutes. 15 minutes they are watching this play over and over.
The eye poke, the blind body check by Mabrey. For White, these weren't isolated incidents, but proof the officials had lost control long ago. In the post-game press conference, her frustration finally poured out, no sugarcoating. She called out the league's hypocrisy, praising physical play, yet ignoring dangerous hits that shelve her roster one by one.
When the officials don't get control of the ball game, when they allow that stuff to happen, and it's been happening all season long. All season long. It's not just this game, it's been happening all season long. This is what happens, right? This is what happens. You've got competitive women who are the best in the world at what they do, right? And when you allow them to play physical and you allow these things to happen, they're gonna compete and they're gonna have their teammates' backs. It's exactly what you expect, right? Out of fierce competition. So I started talking to the officials in the first quarter and we knew this was gonna happen. You could tell it was gonna happen. So they got to get control of it. They got to be better.
White's voice cracked from yelling all game, yet every word hit like a hammer. When the officials won't protect the best players in the world, then teammates will. Behind her, the Fever roster listened, some nodding, some silent, all mentally circling the next opportunity to handle justice themselves. That chance was just moments away.
So now let's talk about Sophie Cunningham. At the end of the game, JC Sheldon is going for a fast break layup and Sophie Cunningham is running with her. And I remember in my head, like it happened in a split second and I said, oh, let's see. Let's see what happens here.
When the scoreboard showed Indiana ahead by double digits, the fans sensed the game was sealed, but the feud was not. Sophie Cunningham sat on the bench replaying every grim detail from May. Her twisted ankle, a chipped tooth, the helpless feeling of watching Clark get targeted with no real protection. One last chance arrived with seconds to spare. JC Sheldon sprinted on a fast break, eyes on an easy layup. Cunningham rose, locked eyes with her old tormentor, and closed the gap in 3 strides. With the entire arena holding its breath, Sophie wrapped Sheldon up in a textbook bear hug, pulling her straight to the floor. It wasn't malicious enough to break bones, just bone deep enough to deliver a message the referees never would.
Sophie commits a hard foul on JC Sheldon. Again, as JC Sheldon is going up for a layup, Sophie bear hugs her and takes her to the ground. What I will say is Sophie did not grab her and throw her to the ground. She didn't body slam her. She didn't do anything, in my personal opinion. Maybe I'm biased here, but I'm gonna give you guys my straight up honest opinion on this. She bear hugged her, took her to the ground. Yes, it was intentional. It was absolutely intentional.
The roar that exploded shook the rafters, fans chanting, "Sophie, Sophie," as officials scrambled to restore order. A flagrant 2 and an automatic ejection barely mattered. Cunningham's mission was done. Justice wasn't blind that night. It wore a Fever jersey and left the building to a hero's ovation.
It was, to me, payback for what was happening the entire game. But she did it in a way that she wasn't gonna injure JC. She was just making it known, like, if the refs aren't gonna handle it, I will handle it. We'll take care of it, but this is not what you're going to do when you come into our house. It was an intentional foul. It was a hard foul. She brought her down. But with that, you guys, JC Sheldon got up and she was ready to go. So as you guys can see in this video, a whole scuffle breaks out. Sophie and JC are going after it. Both teams are running over, trying to break it up. It kind of goes into the fan section a little bit.
In the final seconds, the scoreboard read Fever 88, Sun 71, but the real scorecard tallied loyalty, payback, and a hard truth the league couldn't ignore. Clark's stat line glittered: 20 points, 6 assists, a dagger 3 that silenced every Sun defender brave enough to guard her. Natasha Howard secured her milestone 50th career double-double, while Kelsey Mitchell piled on buckets that buried Connecticut's hopes early.
A rare miss at the rim for Aaliyah Boston, the league's top field goal percentage shooter in the WNBA, but it's Boston who comes up with the steal and the find to Howard. Clark working on the rookie. Clark on the drive. Hang, shot too strong. There's Howard to clean up.
And Clark working off the ball, comes off the stagger.
Third year in her WNBA in terms of setting up her teammates. Clark behind the back, feed inside. 2 more for Howard.
Yet no highlight overshadowed the raw message Indiana delivered. This franchise refuses to be bullied. Sophie Cunningham's flagrant stood as a reminder that when officials fail to guard stars, teammates handle the dirty work.
The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, "Sophie, Sophie." Sophie's jersey is gonna sell out tonight. She's gonna be in the All-Star game tonight just from this one play because she was standing on business. It wasn't a dirty play. It was an intentional foul and it was meant to send a message. It turned into a scuffle and I don't think anybody wanted that.
The Commissioner's Cup final now looms against Minnesota, but everyone leaving Gainbridge Fieldhouse knows the real prize is trust, the unspoken bond that no cheap shot goes unanswered.
Oh, and Clark just took it away. It's a 2-on-1. Clark, bounce pass, pretty find, and Mitchell won't miss from there.
For Fever fans, this isn't just about standings. It's about a team willing to scrap for each other until the final buzzer. Loyalty may be rare in pro sports, but June 17th made it impossible to deny in Indiana.